Robin Chase is about to join me, and Robin is the co-founder and former CEO of Zipcar and co-founder and executive chairman of Venium. She's also the author of Peers, Inc., How People and Platforms Are Inventing the collaborative economy and reinventing capitalism. And she has served on the board of countless NGO and government organizations and is also a prolific speaker in the field of transportation and innovation, who I had the absolute pleasure of spending a week with in Bogota, and I'm really excited to hear her speak today and to share her insights with you all. Robin.
I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and as people have said, 5 years ago, when I was here, I was blown away by what happened on this stage during the day, and I thought, I have to come see it again. Like, absolutely. Let's see how this happens. So I had been instructed to talk a little bit about myself, which I typically actually don't talk about on stage, but then I'm going to talk about women, and then about you. So 3 parts. So first, about me. I founded Zipcar in 2000, and so I want to take you back to how many years ago was that? A long time ago, 23 years ago. And as I stand here in Germany, my co-founder is German, and she had seen car sharing in Berlin on vacation, and she came back to the US. What we did with Zipcar is in 2000, 50% of the population had access to the internet, mostly at work, and 25% of adults had a cell phone, and that would be a cell phone, not a smartphone at all. And so what we did was I tell the story of founding Zipcar, and there were 3 things. One was I thought, wow, this is what the internet is made for, connecting specific resources to people directly. This is what wireless will make possible, getting that reservation from the internet to the specific car. And 3, and I feel like this is something I don't sit on normally, I knew I wanted that for myself. And now as I'm standing here in front of women and thinking about this, it was because I was a mother with 3 children, and we had 1 car living in the city, and my husband would take it for his male commute. And I would be left working sometimes and not working other times, and I wanted a car just sometimes. And so I think it really was because I was a woman and had gone to business school and had done these other things, but I thought, this is something we need. And so that was the moment during those years when I realized transportation is the center of the universe. And then I spent the rest of my life working on transportation. And before that, I knew nothing. So I'm completely committed to it, and it is our gateway to opportunity. So then in 2007, I went and co-founded a company called Go Loco, which was ride-sharing, real ride-sharing. I'm going from Boston to New York. I have 3 empty seats. I want to fill them up. I spent 2 years working on that, and I raised money for it, and it didn't work at all in the US and continues to this day. After many, many trials not working, I gave half the money back to investors. I'd spent the other half. And BlaBlaCar is very successful. It was my peer while we were doing this, and that's Go Loco. Then in 2010, I decided to try my hand at peer-to-peer car sharing, and people had told me when I was doing Zipcar, why don't you use other people's cars? And I feel like there were so many issues with starting car sharing when we did it in 2000 that there was no way we could be touching other people's cars and insurance. I launched that in Paris with 9 other companies who started at the same time doing it in Paris. It was a very good location to start it, and we were not number 1, and we were not number 2, and so we were number 3, and we merged with Drivey, which succeeded in that market, and then later joined with GetAround. Then in 2012, I did Venium. I co-founded Venium, which does vehicle mesh network communications, getting data from the vehicle to the cloud. And it's something that I loved, and still recently joined with another company. And it was a very technical thing. And I had my co-founder was the CEO because he's a very technical person, and I am not. Then this last picture I'm amused at. For a period of 7 challenging months, I had pulled together 5 of the world's largest NGOs dealing with transportation in cities to think, what are the principles of shared mobility? How do we create livable cities? And are there things that we all agree on? Because I would talk to innovators building companies and they would say cities have no idea what they're wanting to do. And cities would say, I hate that startup because they're ruining things that we care about. So we created these shared mobility principles for livable cities. And then we created the New Urban Mobility Alliance as an NGO to embody and push those forward. And I want to just say that today I'm 64 and we're post-pandemic and life has changed. And I want to say this is a continuous journey. I'm totally infatuated with the potential for electric micromobility, so e-bikes and this transformational power. But my personal journey continues, and if you all think you've figured it out, you haven't. In 5 years, you'll have a new thing you want to do. So I want to talk about women as a stereotype, and I have to say I shy away from this all the time because stereotypes are so deeply disturbing. You think stereotypes aren't true, like we know exceptions to stereotypes all the time. But I want to talk about these stereotypes because this is why women should be at the table. So from a stereotype perspective, we are caregivers. That is something that women actually do. And so what does that mean when we've had men, white men, designing our transport systems for the last 120 years? They deliver things that work for white men, obviously. And these are my 2 hidden grandchildren. I'm not allowed to show their faces. But moving through train stations, how do they move through train stations when you have a stroller and doing all that? It's not thought about. So women have getting on buses, moving throughout. Women think about that instantly because we are caregivers, and men, it hasn't crossed their mind yet. And we do know that commutes are 20% of trips and non-commutes are 80% of trips. That's a lot. So we have dynamically physical lives, a funny sentence. We live with menstrual cycles and pregnancies and lactation and menopause, meaning that as human beings, our lives, our physical selves, and our presence is a very dynamic and moving thing, fluxing month to month, year to year, whereas men, I feel like they hit puberty and it's just like the straight path. Like, that's it. And women are experiencing this constant flux. And so therefore, I was thinking, we do, in our day-to-day lives, experience different ways of being mobile. Like, we feel differently as we move through life. And so we can relate to these other sets of circumstances as we go about our days, because that is built into us. We are multitaskers, thinking beyond silos. This, I have to say, is my best women's stereotype when I'm arguing with my husband. Like, he can do one thing, and I think, wait, there's 20 things to do, let's do the 20. But no, he wants to focus on his one thing. And I think women are made to multitask. And so we think about the silos that are happening and think about transportation innovation. It used to be that there were 2 ways to innovate in transportation. You would build new infrastructure, or you would build a new concept car. And the whole idea of caring about how people use the service and the actual experience of it. And now I think about how we are really deep into multimodal worlds and the seams between those modes. Women are so good at that, and men completely miss it. And these are stereotypes. I want to keep saying these are stereotypes. But I feel like that's why women are really good at being at the table, because we think about these relationships and the behavioral and the use case and the seams between things. And so here, again, when I did Zipcar, it was because I was a mother and I knew that I had these things to carry around, and I felt a lot about how easy it was to get these cars and the whole situation. And then lastly, women are focused on the survival of children. I think that is clearly what we are deep inside of us. And we care about our own children surviving, that's going to make me cry, and others. It's like a key piece for us. We're standing in this moment of climate change that we've been in for so long. And we have to choose between our children surviving or getting rich. And it is maddening to me that it seems like men, I'm talking stereotypes, would say, I need another $1 billion, or I care about another $1 million, rather than the survival of the planet and our children. It is just crazy-making to me. And I think women, more often than men, will choose the survival of the planet and women than men. So, about you guys in this room and listening as individuals. My experience when I was here 5 years ago was when I heard other people's stories and the things they had done, I was so deeply impressed by the amazingness of these other people, like what they had done with their lives and how incredible they were. And so I'm here looking forward to that. You know, women, I'm going to meet women who are determined and tenacious in their work, that are box-breaking in that they're tired of the old standard ways of doing things, and they're ready and willing and doing the, I'm going to do it a wholly new way because the way that's been set up before, I'm uninterested in. And I'm looking forward to being inspired entirely by women. So I really look forward to these conversations we're going to have today and with each other in between. Women are collaborative, and they are amazing. So I'm looking forward to this day. And as I think about how we're going to be interacting with each other, I'm going to be asking the question, I think we should be asking each other, what can I do to help? And in order to ask that question with authenticity, we need to know what they're doing, and we need to know what we are doing, and where is there an intersection between those. So I'm looking forward to a fantastic day ahead.